Coach, I mean, I know it's still relatively early in the season, but, after last week going to Auburn and sweeping and then the big win on Tuesday against Bethune, what have you learned about your team to this point?
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of them. I mean, I think for as inexperienced we are, especially offensively, I thought we handled ourselves extremely well. Just very mature like at bats, mature just in terms of how we went about our process and prepared. And, I think we're just a lot farther along than I thought. I thought that we would get there just because of the talent that we had. But I think obviously the staff has done a great job of just preparing the kids. I mean, Jeremy Fraden, our strength coach, has done a tremendous job just help building the culture and really kind of be in the forefront of that in the weight room all fall. And the players have, really bought in, but at the same time they've also kind of helped build the culture. So we were prepared. I thought that Andy and Ted did an unbelievable job preparing for those Auburn arms. Our offense really bought into it. Obviously, Nick did a tremendous job of preparing the pitchers, and those guys obviously set the tone. So having the experience on the mound definitely helps, because that's if you can pitch, you got a chance to win every single game. And so those guys bringing what they did on the mound really set the tone for the entire weekend, and Colton started that. So, but just great game planning, great execution, and great energy. And again, that comes from a lot of different things and culture and just the players really wanting this and buying into everything that we're doing. So definitely a little earlier than I thought. I thought we'd need a little bit more kind of seasoning to kind of get that feel and really understand. But I think just, again, a testament to a lot of different people to kind of get him ready this early. But, again, I talked about it. We challenged him on Tuesday that we got to come out every day and prove that this is right, that this wasn't a fluke, that that we won that series, and we did. But you got to continually remind everybody that it's not, the season doesn't end now. The regionals aren't this weekend. We got 12 more weekends of having to prove that either where we're at isn't good enough, or that where we're at we earned it and that we deserve to stay there. So we got to continue to do that this weekend.
The hot start, though. You've seen things with the pitching and the hitting that tells you can see it, that this is not just a hot start. There are things that you see that you think are sustainable through humanity.
No doubt. I mean, obviously on the mound, just the depth, and we're going to get deeper. Obviously, if we stay healthy, we're still going to get deeper. I mean, hopefully with Helsel coming back and Lukoski and just guys getting more experience like Hunter and Nick Attila, like Joe Sheridan just getting healthier and more confident. Guy like Ryan Salt. I mean, that's going to take some heat off the guys. It's going to keep us deep but talented and experienced. And then obviously offensively, I think we got hungry guys that are proving themselves, and they're going to get more confident. And just how they handle the grind, though, is going to be a big question mark, and they still got to do that. But, I think that the way we've handled the first couple of weeks, I think it proves that they have what in them to be able to do that. So it definitely gives you a lot of hope. But at the end of the day, like, that doesn't win games. You got to go out and win them. And, you got to show up. And again, there's going to be weekends where maybe you don't play so well. And how do you handle that? And do you panic and say, "Oh man, we got to get back on it," and that runs you into more problems and spins you more in that quicksand, or do you just understand and go out and continue to be about the process, prepare the way you can, and be ready for it? I think those are still the big question marks, and we got to see how we can handle it.
And some of the power on display last week maybe surprised a little bit. They got like a big green monster out in the outfield. And there was several shots over that.
Yeah, we did. Obviously, a guy like Rathbone has always had the power potential and just being able to put it together. Obviously, Dalton. And look, they had their left center field gap is huge. When the wall ends, it juts out there, and it's like a graveyard out there. And so I was really proud. We poked some balls in there. I think on our field, we could have hit 4 or 5 home runs more, So, and again, just depending on all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm definitely excited. We showed some of that, again, the Friday before the season, we hit 3 home runs off Colton in practice, like in a game. Like we've shown that ability to be able to do that. And so we just got to be able to continue it, not try to get too big and try to do it. but just stay within our approach, stay with our preparation, and allow ourselves to be able to. And I thought that's what we did. I didn't think we had very few like overswings the whole entire weekend. We stayed within ourselves. We stayed with the game plan. We stayed just trying to hit the ball hard and make good contact. And when you do that, then that's what ends up happening. You're able to hit those those shots. If you try to do that, it's really, really difficult in this game. But that's that carrot, man. Like you start doing that, and you feel like, man, this is fun. Like I like hitting home runs, and then all of a sudden you start trying, and that's when things can go south. So we got to just stay within ourselves, stay with our approach, stay with the things that have really gotten us until this point. Let's not try to change who we are or what we're about or how we prepare, and just go out and continue to play like we did last weekend.
On Tuesday, you talked about how it's good to see, you like how your kids are getting rewarded by the ranking next to their name. Personally, also with Jordan Rathbone being the player of the week, and just kind of responding to the trust you put in to be your cleanup hitter, and the second one out of the gate, he's the player of the week in the conference. What can you say about what he did?
No, I'm just proud of him. I mean, again, just from what he did last year, I think that you can be really, whether either, one, he could be just thrown in the towel and said, man, like, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if I can do this kind of thing. But at the same time, not putting the pressure on him, like, okay, I can't get off to this, I can't get off to a bad start or it'll be last year all over again, man. Just go out and play and swing and do what we've done. And so I'm just proud of him, again, the preparation and trusting that in the mental game, like just the maturity that he showed to be able to go out and handle, again, we talk a lot about offensively, like old school mindset of leadoff guy has to be fast, and 2-hole guy's got to be a back control guy, and 3-hole guy's got to do this, and 4-hole's got to hit home. Like I tell our kids all the time, like I don't care about any of that stuff. That I'm gonna put you in the lineup to. The way I produce the lineup is going to give us the best opportunity to produce runs, and that I might Wingo might hit leadoff in this in the fall, saying, hey man, like Wingo might hit leadoff, like that's seems so out of the box, but if that's going to give us the best opportunity to score the most amount of runs, then that's what I'm going to do. So don't buy into I have to do this or I have to do that because I'm hitting this. And so again, the same thing where he didn't overswing one time the entire weekend, and again, so being put in that position of I got to hit in the 4-hole and I got to hit home runs, like that's just not what he did. Just trust the preparation, try to put good swings on balls, trust your ability. And so he's worked really, really hard in the last, especially in the last 8 months of finishing last year and then wanting to say, okay, like it's going to be different next year, and just making that mental choice and then having the maturity to stick with it and then be able to handle the expectations or whatever the count that I'm sure he has on himself that, he wants to do well and stuff, that he's handled that so well, and you're able to have success when you do that.
Going back to that weekend with Jeffrey Higginson, last year he pushed him back-to-back games only once, but going into Saturday and having that series on the line there in the 9th inning, did you tell him before the game, like, I knew you threw 20 pitches the night before on Friday, but you can be ready to go here on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, he knew he was up. Obviously we wouldn't have used him unless it was a safe situation. We were going to put him in a 4-run game or a 5-run game just to avoid throwing back-to-back days early in the year, but we've prepped him for that. And obviously a year older, and arm being able to, his body just being better prepared and with being able to handle that pressure in terms of what the body's going through. He's prepared for that moment. Like that's what we do all year long. But time and age also has something to do with it. Like doing that to a freshman is different than doing that to a junior. And so again, the last 3 years he's been building towards being able to do that at a high level and not, he lost like a mile or two, and that was it. I mean, touching 96 in the first game, and touching 95 or 94, sitting there. So it wasn't like, you got to worry about that too. Like some of the freshmen will come out and lose 4 or 5 miles an hour trying to throw back-to-back days, and that's one, a danger, and two, obviously not as useful. So everything that we've done for the last 3 years has prepared him for that moment. Everything that he's done in the weight room and his arm care, conditioning, just pitching and being used to that, and practice, we're trying to get them to throw either back-to-back days or just a lot of days with only 1 day rest, which again, the communication that Nick has with the guys of understanding how do you feel like, and making sure that they have an honest interpretation of what they're doing and not just telling us what we think we want to hear, but hey, I feel great today. So, okay, you feel great, you're prepared, we've put you in this situation, like we can trust you to go out there and be successful just like you were the night before.
Getting a team from California to come out here, what was that process like, and was that a target of yours?
No, it just ended up being the way things work out. There's a website that all of us coaches kind of subscribe to that you can put on there if, hey, I'm looking for a game this weekend of this year, and it lists, you can go click on every year and it lists every weekend, and hey, these teams are looking, email this guy, call this guy. I can't really remember now, to be honest with you, what happened, because I think I had another series and then maybe it fell through or something like that. And so I just had an open weekend, went on there, and there were 7 or 8 teams that were open, and just emailed them all, hey, we're looking for a series 2, and they were the only ones that responded, and we got a chance to make it work.
The 4 games, is that because they're coming out here, maybe they wanted that?
They were interested in it too. Like, I just threw it out there. One, I knew that we were probably, we had that bye week later in the year that I knew we weren't going to be able to fill. Also trying to avoid playing 5 games a week once conference starts, so wanting to get as many games early in the season. And I was struggling to find midweeks to match up. Like, some people that were interested in playing midweeks wanted to play on the same day that we already had a game. Like, last week against Bethune, I was like, oh, I can play that day. I already got a game against Bethune. Call Bethune, hey, can you play on Wednesday? No, we're playing Jacksonville on Wednesday. So just to try to get some of those games early, especially when you're trying to figure out your pitching staff and where we're at, and get more guys opportunities and really get them to grow before conference starts, it just made more sense, and just the scheduling worked out well that we could play 4 games against them.
What do you know about Cal State Northridge? Because they're off to a really hot start, and they're playing really well this year.
Well, obviously a new coach, and one of the, you look back at the last 15 years, like, he's one of the best coaches in college. I mean, took UC Irvine to a World Series, Cal State Fullerton to a World Series. They're an older team, especially on the mound, but they're going to be really scrappy. And obviously, Dave's going to, he obviously has them playing really well right now. But they got some older arms. They get some different looks, some velocity guys, some guys that thumb it up there and got some good off-speed stuff, change arm angles. But they've also got experience. So they've competed before. They've been in this types of atmosphere, so they're not going to be scared or nervous on the mound. And then offensively, they got some big physical guys that can hit. So we're just going to be able to, but again, it's going to be a good competition and tough. But we just got to worry about ourselves and just worry about playing the same way and keeping, again, we always talk about playing a faceless opponent, not worrying about what jerseys the other teams are wearing. We got to continue that. Like, just because it's not Auburn now, like, we can't change the style of play, the energy, the swagger that we had. We got to go out and, again, we talked to the kids about that was the standard that we set. We set the standard this weekend for the rest of our season, not about wins and losses, but about how we prepared, how we went about our business, how the energy was like, what our body language was like. So now we got to bring that energy every single day, or make it better. But we can't go backwards, and we can't say, okay, well, we're not playing Auburn, so we don't need to play that hard, or it doesn't mean as much. Like, these games mean more because they're the games that are in front of us, and every game matters. And we've also talked about that. Every loss is puts you one loss closer to not being in the tournament, and so we can't come out and give below standard effort in any of those facets that I just talked about. We got to come out and bring it and be ready to go, and worry about what we can do to try to win the game.
The NCAA is talking about some legislation where they would allow a one-time transfer to all student athletes without having to sit out and encompass all sports. I know baseball a long time ago used to have that, but as a coach now that recruiting high school, and maybe that you recruit transfers as well, do you have an opinion whether that's maybe good or bad for your program? Yeah,
I do. It's funny because I understand both sides of the spectrum in terms of. You want kids to have free will. You don't want kids to be places that they're unhappy or they're buried in depth charts. And like, the college experience is supposed to be that, a great experience. And so if a kid's the third string, whatever, and he can go and he can play Division I and get that experience, but he can't do it there because of whatever, just the way things worked out. I do believe that they should have the freedom to be able to transfer. I also understand that for us, I don't want to be a minor league for anybody. And I was at Wright State, like, we had some really good players. And if this rule goes into effect, places like that, I think, become a minor leagues. And we spend more time recruiting other Division I schools than we do high schools and junior colleges. And so, I'd like for them to reach out or to find a happy medium. And I've actually reached out to the committee, and I'm just spitballing ideas here, but I do believe that there should be like a tiered system of, and I don't know what that, 10 teams, every 25 teams, every 50 teams, so like a rolling RPI, like, hey, this is our 5-year average. Okay, well, you can go down in tiers. So like, if you're the backup quarterback or the backup catcher at the number 1 school in the country, like, you should be able to go down to the 100th school in the country and play and be able to play right away. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense because that allows the kids to not again, you've seen it in the transfer portal with the football players. I mean, those are the quarterbacks, 3 quarterbacks that will probably end up being top 5, top 10 picks that were backup somewhere else. And so you're stunting their development, you're stunting their growth, but then all the other kids, you're just stunting their experience, like to not play. And you could say work harder, but sometimes it's out of your control. Like either the coach doesn't like you, or they didn't recruit you, or you just get buried at a position like a quarterback where there's only one person gets to play. Like wide receiver, maybe it's a little different, or pitchers are a little bit different. But if you're the 3rd string catcher, like only one catcher gets to play. Like so. Giving the kids the opportunity to find another place, I think, makes a lot of sense. But I think we got to be really careful, because when you open the floodgates, like the minor leagues, the smaller the team you are, the more minor league you are for the bigger team. And I think that's a real slippery slope, where you just put all this time in developing somebody, and then they say, okay, yeah, great, thank you for doing that. Now we'll take them and let them come play for us. And so that's where I think but I understand the other side of it. So I'm not totally against it. I think that if we can find a system that, it's like for baseball, there's 300 Division I schools. If it's 25, 1 through 25, and you're in that tier, in that five-year RPI, average RPI that you've had the last 5 years, then you can go down to the 26 to 50 or 51 to 70. If you're the 28th ranked team, then you got to go down to the 51 to 70. And maybe the numbers are, it's groups of 15 or groups of 20 or 25 or 50 or 100. You can go from 1 to 100 to, I don't know what that number is. Like that's totally up for debate, but I think that makes way more sense, because I think it answers both sides of the concerns. The kids get the free will, and hey man, if I don't like it, especially now in our sport, recruiting is going, the kids are committing in 8th or 9th grade. Like now all of a sudden maybe the school's not the right fit, or maybe you don't like that part of town, or maybe you're homesick, or maybe you got some family that's sick, or you just feel like you need to be closer. Maybe you miss your girlfriend and you want to go back home. Like there's so many different things that I understand that the kids should have free will and go wherever they want to go, and it shouldn't be punished. But at the same time, we also got to protect, I think, the programs and the coaching staffs and the teams, and not allow it to be where, the top schools are recruiting the bottom schools, and just allowing them, hey, this kid wasn't good enough to play for me now, but hey, how about you make him better for me, even though you're not on my payroll, and then I'll be able to go steal him from you when he gets good enough that I think that he can help us. So I think that system actually helps both. I don't know if anyone listens to me, but if there is, that's my 2 cents.
Real quick, you mentioned Auburn, the intensity, the guys brought stuff, and they set the standard. Is that where you come in as the head coach coaching, or is that something they have to remember, bottle, and bring?
I mean, I think both. I mean, I think I've got to, make sure that they're aware of it, right? So let them know that, hey, that's the standard, like that's what it's supposed to look like, but also coaching them on letting them know that that's not something that you do every day or every other day or once a week, or only when the school is like a big time school or ranked or top RPI. Like that's not, it's every day. Like that's what we judge. We talk about playing versus the ball and playing versus a faceless opponent. Like that's exactly what it means. And so can we match that? So it's me alerting them and challenging them in those kind of ways. But also I can do everything that I want to do. And if they don't buy into it, if there's not good leadership on the team, if they don't understand that, if they don't care about it, or they don't think that they don't believe, then that's where the issues come. And so it's a 50-50, a two-way street where I've got to be involved, and the coaching staff and everyone has to be involved. But at the same time, on the back end, the players got to really buy in and hold each other accountable. We're going to do our jobs to hold them accountable, but they got to hold each other accountable and really be about everything that we're preaching to them.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Thanks, guys.